Hi, this is Magnus again. We are now at the podcast center at the Ignite conference, and we were managed to actually steal the stage here at the podcast center for a bit because they're not doing anything here now. The podcast center is overlooking the expo floor. You can see down here. It's pretty cool. So we got a nice view from up here of all of the expo. I am here with Damian Brady, and he's a developer in developer advocacy, and he's focusing on DevOps. And I want to know all about how to do very fast things, do DevOps in speed. So here we have Damian. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Oh, I'm all right. I'm perfectly fine. And so DevOps, important. Everybody must do it. And in my experience, a lot of people are not. But how do I set it up? How do I get going? And how do I do it like quick and easy?
So yeah, everybody's doing it, but the other thing to notice is if you're not doing it, your competitors are probably doing it. So
Right.
you need to get on board with some of this stuff. Probably the easiest way to get started is to pick the thing that's the hardest right now and fix that. So if it takes 3 months to get your product out, a new update to your product out to production, then that's something you need to work on. Maybe the hard part is, I don't know, committing new code. Maybe that's the hard part. Or the hard part might be building your application. You need a particular person to do that work. Or maybe it's actually doing the deployment itself, that's something you have to schedule every 3 months, and it's really difficult to do that. So pick the thing that hurts the most, fix that, and then slowly move on. So we're going to talk about like DevOps at speed, right? So doing this really fast, because that's kind of the key to this, right? That's the whole reason you do DevOps, is to get your code out into production and into the hands of users faster. So I know you've spoken to Donovan Brown before, and he defined DevOps for Microsoft, right? And it was basically the union of people, process, and tools in order to enable continuous delivery of value to your end users.
Okay.
So continuous delivery of value, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. There's no point having value that's sitting on your developer's machine that the user doesn't get for 3 months, right?
True.
So this is where the speed thing comes in. You need to try and get that out as fast as possible.
Right.
Yep. And so not just fast as possible. There's kind of two competing things in DevOps. There's getting your changes and your updates and your value out to users as fast as possible, but also doing it safely.
Yes.
Like I know the code that I write. I don't want everything to go straight to production, right? Yeah, exactly. So you need your testing, and you need your staging environment, and in some cases you need somebody to tick that box to say, yeah, this is ready to go. This can go out to my users. So you have those two competing things, getting it out really fast, but also making sure you're not putting bad stuff into production.
Right, of course.
Yeah. So the key to kind of doing it all at scale and maintaining that quality, doing it all at speed and maintaining that quality, is automation.
Of course.
So automating your builds, automating your deployments.
Automation.
Yeah, automating your tests. Mm-hmm. So you don't want to have to rely on a test department to click through the buttons and then mark stuff off on the spreadsheet when they're done and all that sort of stuff. That's going to slow you down. You can't do this at speed if you're doing it all manually.
So the way I used to say it, it's like on every check-in there should be something happening, a build, make sure that it's sound, that I did add all the files to the GitHub repository or the Git whatever, right? Yeah. And then I did actually check all of it in, that it actually builds, that it actually works, and then some testing and stuff. So that's what we're talking about here. Yeah,
absolutely. And there's this concept that we see in DevOps a lot called shift left. And so what that basically means is there's a process of, you write your code, and then you do your builds, and then you run your test, and then you deploy it to a staging environment or to a test environment. Then you maybe run some more tests, and then it'll get to production. So you can think of this like a left to right process. Dev, build, test, deploy, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so you want to find your errors as far left as possible. You want to shift this problem discovery, shift it left.
Sooner, yeah, I got it.
Yeah.
That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. So let's say that I am with a company that really is not doing this well today. There's something wrong. How would I get started if I'm starting from zero, got nothing to lose? What do I do?
So number one, you'd need the code and source control. If they're not doing that,
that's
it's going to be
rule number one, right?
You'd be surprised. Like there's still a lot of companies who do not have their code and source control.
Goodness.
It does happen. So number one, source control. If you want, like GitHub's a good place to put it. VSTS. free for small teams and free for like small use, and it's unlimited private GitHub repository. So if you
Visual Studio Team Services, like yeah, not everybody knows.
sorry, VSTS. I'm doing the acronym thing. I should know that by now. Yeah, Visual Studio Team Services.
Yes.
So if you go to visualstudio.com, you can sign up for that.
Cool.
Free for small users, and then once you start to depend on it and use it in a bit more depth, then you can maybe start paying for
the
it.
enterprise, of course.
Yeah, that kind of stuff. So, VSTS. So put it in source control. It supports Team Foundation version control, which is
Yeah.
the old school
The old
TFS
version.
stuff, or Git, and it's just Git. Like it's not Microsoft flavored Git.
No,
it's
it's a
just
normal
Git.
Git. Yeah.
Totally normal Git.
Okay.
But then you can start doing your builds. So defining your builds, and the build engine in Visual Studio Team Services is fantastic. That build.
I actually use it all the time myself.
Yeah,
I
the
do.
builds in VSTS are amazing now.
Yeah,
They're
yeah.
really, really good. And same thing with the release process. So create a continuous integration build. Every time you commit your code,
Yeah.
it'll do a build, run your
Right,
tests.
Right.
And then
it takes a
yeah.
few minutes maybe to build and
Yeah.
test things because it would do.
Yeah,
but it'll
definitely.
take me far longer to do it manually.
Oh.
So for those few minutes when that is happening, I can go and get a cup of coffee. When I come back, I got a nice email in my inbox that said it built, and all the tests
succeeded.
passed, and we're all good.
Yeah, exactly right. And so the important thing is that this is automated. You don't have to, go to Gary, who's the guy who does the compile.
Right, Gary the compiler.
Yeah, exactly. You don't have to rely on a person. Like people are bad at following these steps, right?
know.
You should never. This is
That's
another
why
thing
we
that
have
Dominant
automation.
says. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, never send a person to do a computer's job. Like, yeah.
Makes
so
sense.
so automate as much as you can, and then that'll get you to. That'll get you to DevOps at speed, and you
Okay.
can stop worrying about like the actual deployment stuff. Just do your work, write your code, commit it, and the rest happens. Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, thank you very much for talking to me today. This is awesome. So visualstudio.com is the key. You go there, you start from there, sign up for a free account. That's it.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
No problem.